Ready to get going?
We are ready to go.
Let me tell you, because you'll probably hear a couple of funny stories from me, but during the week. Let me tell you a funny story from my practice. It'll just take a second. One morning, we started to start up the trial, and the first witness was the plaintiff. So it went on for about like an hour and a half, you know. So anyway, finished. The judge from the bench like this says, "It's your witness, sir." So I said, "Can we approach?" He said, "Sure, come on up here." He says, "What do you want?" I says, "I have to go to the bathroom." He says, "Why don't you just tell me it out there? I don't care." He says, "Yeah, we'll take a break, go," you know?
We'll just raise our hand.
Yeah, just raise your hand if you
Yeah,
need a break.
likewise, if you all need, for any reason, just let us know.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what the plan
Yeah.
is here, but
Yeah.
usually about an hour and a half, we take a break, you know, something like that. Take a 10, 15-minute break, something like that. We don't want to wear you out. But
Just,
anyway, I thought you might be interested in that little funny story.
just for everyone's planning, because we've got folks that are all over the world in some cases, we're trying to coordinate by Zoom. I think we're going to try to get to a certain point in Dr. McRaney's testimony, and then we'll have some folks in between, and then we'll put Dr. McRaney back on. So that's our schedule. I'm going to try to come to a natural stopping place about 2 here, and then we'll hear from some other folks, and then we'll commence, and we'll just kind of juggle to get everything solved. If you'll swear, Dr. McRaney, we can go ahead.
Raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Tell the jury your name.
Will McRaney.
Dr. McRaney, I want to start on June 8, 2015. Where were you? What happened?
June 8th, I was in Columbia, Maryland in our offices, and then I was invited to a meeting, went to a meeting that had been a special call meeting of our board. Actually, the meeting was out of order, but it was called anyway, and went to that meeting and shared a little bit about the future. That's what I was told I was there to do, and I didn't know what was going to happen before and after I was there. And later that day, I found out I'd been terminated.
How long had you been serving the convention at that point?
About 20 months.
And what happened to you professionally after June 8?
Well, it's very difficult to be in that particular position of a state executive director. It's very difficult to find work. Obviously, we dealt with the trauma of shock because things were going so well in the convention and the work going there. And so try to gather ourselves again and eventually try to seek work. But it's hard when you've been in that type of position. A lot of people retire from that position. Typically, I think the average age guys retire from that position is 71. And it's not a position you typically go to other positions from, and so there's not a kind of a parallel kind of position there. So I began to look for work. That's a multiple-year process, but
How long were you without full-time equivalent employment in Baptist ministry after that?
5 years.
You were earning $135,000 a year at BCMD, is that correct?
That's base salary, but yes.
And then were there additional benefits there?
I think we've calculated it's probably about $185,000 total with they pay the Social Security offset and retirement and insurance and all kinds of things of that nature.
And what did you earn during the period you weren't able to be in ministry work?
Well, the first 4 years, I think I probably had a combined earning of about $40,000.
That evening, June 8, when you walked in the door at home, what did you tell Sandy, your wife?
I don't know what I said. I'm sure I just told her that I was terminated, and I was still in shock then, in some ways still now, how it all happened, because it took a perfect storm for it to happen.
Let's talk about your background a little. Tell the jury your education and training before 2013.
Undergrad at Mississippi State and master's in divinity, 92-hour degree, 3-year PhD work, completed that. So that was the education side.
And then your professional experience, where had you served in ministry before BCMD?
Well, I served as ministry youth in college, right out of college, or in the last part of our college. We stayed there. Then I served as the pastor of Jackson Avenue Baptist Church in Pascagoula while I was a student at New Orleans Seminary. So I did that 5-6 years. And then we church planted in 1992 in Denver, Littleton, Colorado. And so we were there 4 years until I was invited back to be on faculty at New Orleans Seminary, teaching evangelism, church growth, church planting there. And so went full-time on faculty in 1996. And then in 2007, I Went to the Florida Baptist Convention, served in the areas of evangelism first, then church planting. So those two areas, but those were consistent with my research, my training, my background, my experience. So they kind of meshed together. You reach people and you start churches. You start churches, you got to reach people. So.
When you were hired at BCMD, was NAM upset about that at the time?
They were very excited because I had written, taught, done everything in church planting. My mentor his church had planted more churches in SBC than any church in the history of the convention. So I think they were probably pretty excited about that in combination with the evangelism side, which was a published author, consultant, researcher, writer. I'd done work for NAM in some contract work that they wanted done, some research they wanted done. So I had good relationships back from NAM's beginning, actually.
Well, Dr. McRaney, we're going to start looking at exhibits, and to make it easier, I know the screen is tiny for everyone to read, so we've provided the jury a copy with those. Obviously, until we establish what they are, please don't look ahead in the book. But at least for looking at what we're talking about right now, that'll make it easier for you to see rather than us putting it up on the screen. Dr. McRaney, if you'd turn to exhibit number 1, what is that document?
That is what's called the Strategic Partnership Agreement that the North American Mission Board and prior to it, the Home Mission Board would have had with the state convention. This is the one that was signed 2 years prior to my coming to Maryland as executive director, and it's the one with the Baptist Convention of Maryland, Delaware. And
just so it's clear where this came from, up at the top it has a case number up there, you see that?
Yes.
And what case is that?
I believe that's the original case that we filed in Mississippi.
And then down in the corner, it says NAM 002, I think is the first page. You see that?
Yes.
And what are those numbers to your understanding?
It's my understanding those are the Bates numbers, all the documents that the North American Mission Board sent into the court as a part of discovery or exchanging of documents. I'm not sure what the word is.
Under this document, this was the agreement between NAM and the convention. Did NAM have governance authority over BCMD?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Look at the second page of the, I think, NAM 3, and you'll see at 2F, the strategic partnership agreement should be driven by shared values. These values are F, autonomy of individual Baptist entities. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
What does that mean in your understanding of Baptist life?
Well, we would operate independently. Unlike most other denominations, there is no hierarchy in SBC. They would have their own board, set their own budgets, set their own strategy. So would the BCMD. Whatever we did in partnership, that's a separate kind of matter. But we were not created, the Baptist Convention of Maryland, Delaware was not created to serve the North American Mission Board or the SBC. Actually, interestingly enough, in 1836, the Baptist Convention of Maryland, Delaware was formed. The Southern Baptist Convention itself wasn't formed until 1845, 9 years later. So there's no national that then created a state. It's local churches that create both the local associations, state conventions, and their national entities. They don't create each other, nor they're accountable to each other.
Under the agreement, who was it that implemented BCMD's strategic plan?
Well, it was to be me as the executive leader, and then obviously our board and our policies would guide that.
Yeah, read the jury what it says in number 6 there.
You want me to read it?
On page 3, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The implementation of a strategic plan shall be in accordance with all the policies and procedures of each partner.
And then read 7.
General administration and the implementation of the strategic plan shall be by the convention, and that's referring to the state convention.
And it's my understanding that under this agreement, there were some jointly funded missionaries to be employed, correct?
Yes.
Who employed those missionaries?
They were employees. They were W-2 employees of the Baptist Convention of Maryland, Delaware.
Okay. Yeah, if you'll flip to the next page, NAM 4, read what it says in section 2, number 1B.
Supervision?
Yeah.
Supervision of missionaries will be the responsibility of the convention's executive director or his designee.
And how was it those missionaries were supposed to be hired? What was the process that was supposed to be followed there?
Well, the jointly funded, we had our own staff that was not jointly funded. We had matching funds, and they had matching funds. We each had money into each of the staff members that we were jointly funding. And that was responsibility of the executive director to initiate the hiring And then eventually it would have to go through the processes of both boards, with NAM getting the final say, meaning final veto. But obviously they can't veto until the board in Basque Country, Maryland, Delaware approves them.
Where could the jury find that in this agreement?
Where, can't say that, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
what language are you talking about there? Can you point the jury to those words?
I just have learned them.
Yeah. Look at 1A.
There we go, sorry. This jointly funded missionaries must go through the approval process of both the convention and NAM. Searches for jointly funded missionaries shall be initiated by the convention, again, state convention, in consultation with NAM. Final approval for the candidates will be from NAM.
Okay. Dr. McRaney, if NAM didn't like that deal, what was it supposed to do? How was it able to amend this agreement if it wanted to?
Only one way, according to this agreement, and that is that any document that would produce any type of constraints on either body was to be discussed, put in writing, and signed by the executive director of the Convention of Maryland and the NAM president or his designee.
And do you recall where that is in the agreement?
No.
Look at section 4, the next page, number 2.
Okay. The Convention and North American Mission Board shall conduct a review of strategic partnership as necessary. It may be amended by mutual agreement between the executive director and the regional vice president of the North American Mission Board in accordance with each entity's policies.
And in terms of managing those employees, we talked about jointly funded missionaries. Is it true that both organizations may pursue their own interests?
Certainly, they have different interests. We just have a few set common things. They were, again, not created for each other, and so they had their own priorities. Each had their priorities, and that we would do some things jointly together.
And was that written in the agreement?
I'm sure it is.
Look at number 11 on page 4.
Number 11. The partners shall have equal opportunity to pursue their respective assignments from their boards.
So the agreement anticipated both sides would have their own goals and would have, quote, equal opportunity to do those assignments.
Certainly.
Okay. If NAM wanted to terminate this agreement, what was it supposed to do?
It was supposed to be a conversation between the Baptist Convention Executive Director, which would have been me, and Kevin Ezel. It may have also been a vice president. I'm not sure if that's possible, but it should have been a conversation before any initiation of that, and then a written agreement acknowledging it, that it would be 12 months occurred later. They could do it a little different if they both agreed to do it different, but I think that's what it says.
Look at
someplace.
Yeah, NAM 5, paragraph 3, under cooperation. Read that to the jury.
Yes, the agreement may be discontinued by either partner after consultation between the executive director and the president of North American Mission Board or his designee, normally with at least 12 months' notice. The convention's executive director and the president of the North American Mission Board may negotiate a different appropriate time frame for implementation.
Did NAM follow that process when it sent its December 2014 letter?
No, it did not.
How-
No conversation.
No conversation. Okay.
No communication, no written communication, nothing.
So was NAM following the agreement when it sent its letter terminating the procedure?
It was out of order with agreement, but that's consistent with about 8 or 9 other things that they continue to violate.
Let's look at exhibit number 2 then. What is this document, Dr. McRaney?
This is the letter from Kevin Ezel and Jeff Christopherson, the vice president, communicating that their desire, their will to terminate the agreement with the Baptist Convention of Maryland, Delaware, putting us on the 1-year notice, and doing so in such a way as to make accusations that were false against me in multiple places here.
It accuses you of serious and persistent disregard of the agreement, correct?
It does,
See those words there?
yes,
Also describes it as a breach of the agreement, correct?
it does.
Therefore, based on multiple failures on the part of the executive director of the BCMD to abide by the agreement. You see that accusation?
Yes,
And then in the final paragraph, it again says the executive director willfully and repeatedly ignoring the strategic partnership agreement.
yes.
Was any of that true?
Not on our end. It's 100% true on their end. They over and over violate the agreement. And the thing is, it's done by facts and documents, not by thinking. And so there's no proof that I did any of that. And there's all types of evidence. They did this over and over again.
Now, NAM makes 2 points in that letter. The first paragraph talks about termination, giving 12 months' notice, or a little less than 12 months' notice, based on December 2. But what else did NAM threaten to do in the second paragraph there? Start at NAM reserves. Read that language.
It reserves the right to terminate the agreement and funding relationship immediately in the event the BCMD executive director or the leadership of the BCMD further disregards the agreement or acts in any way NAM deems fundamentally detrimental to cooperating in ministry.
And was there any language in the SPA that allowed them to do that?
No.
Turn with me to Exhibit 31. What's this document?
This is the meeting minutes from the executive committee meeting of the trustees, the board of NAM trustees, which I assume those are who's present, and maybe, I don't know what their particular roles are, it's got some of the roles, but this is their meeting, minutes from their meeting.
Okay, and again, this is from the court case, correct?
Yes.
Look at page down in the corner, NAM 5348, and there'll be President's Report, Kevin Ezell. You see that?
Yes.
And it says Kevin communicated several activities for informational purposes, including, and then the last bullet point. Read that bullet point for us.
Maryland, Delaware issues being addressed with cooperation efforts. The agreement in place has been jeopardized by recent action, specifically the hire of the SDOE, which is State Director of Evangelism, without our participation. This was addressed, but then behavior was repeated. There have been other issues as well. We have communicated a one-year notice for ending our cooperative agreement with the, supposed to be probably Maryland, Delaware Convention, I assume that's what it is. This was in hopes of bringing the new president, Will McRaney, which is not president, executive director, but to work cooperatively again, We will follow up with him and again in 6 months.
So, based on your understanding, this is what Kevin Ezell is telling his executive committee about what's going on.
Yes, it's his version.
December 9, 2014.
Right.
Okay. Is it true that the SDOE had been hired without their participation?
Absolutely not.
Turn with me to Exhibit 49. What's Exhibit 49?
I ran out of tabs here, so let me, let's see. I'm not sure that I have the right 49. I've got something from Ezell and Jeff Christopherson.
Correct.
Okay.
And is that the, I'm sorry.
I lost numbers after 48, so I have the last read. I'm not sure which one's which.
Okay, this should be the email talking about the hire of Rainey.
Okay.
Is that in front of you?
I don't seem to have it right here. I can look over my shoulder, or I'm pretty
Let's see.
familiar with
Is
it.
there a copy in yours, Harvey? 49? No? Uh-huh. And you don't have them? Do you have a 49 in your?
Yeah,
And do you mind if I take a quick look at it?
I'm familiar with
Yes.
the document that you're talking about, but
Yes. Can I borrow somebody's 49? Just, there we go. Let me hand you that.
Okay.
49. What's that email?
This email from Jeff Christopherson to Al Gilbert, who was over evangelism. Joe Outlaw was the HR person at the North American Mission Board.
And what does it say about hiring the State Director of Evangelism?
It said, Will McRaney would like to move Joel Rainey from a church planting catalyst position within the BCMD to become their SDOE. Joel is one of the most effective CPCs, so we will definitely feel the loss from his efforts, but I would wholeheartedly endorse Joel as having the skill set to move evangelism to where your heart is. He is sharp and strategic thinker and will bring much to the table.
So in terms of hiring the SDOE, Joel Rainey, NAM knew about the hiring, correct?
They certainly did.
Where did they learn about it from?
Learned about it from me.
Okay. And in that email, they approved of the hiring.
This one and other ones, yes. There's multiple emails on the same thing, yes.
And so in your view, could it possibly be true that you acted unilaterally to hire Mr. Rainey?
Certainly not. And actually, even in the conversation, Jeff Christopherson said to me, Will, you're an expert in evangelism. You got the textbook everybody's reading. You hire who you want. In addition to that, Joel Rainey was already an employee of the North American Mission Board, or he was a contract worker as a church planting catalyst, of which they're affirming his work.
So there's one of the hirings. There's another hiring at issue. Turn with me to exhibit number 12. What's that document?
It's an email from Christopherson to me and copied to Tom Stoll, which our business guy, and Kevin Marsco, a person who works with NAM that's in our area.
Okay, and read the middle paragraph there with regard.
With regard to replacing this vacancy, this is indeed something that is of the highest priority to NAM. Our strategy requires a high-capacity, proven church planting leader at this post. Otherwise, this position becomes a choke point in a joint system that has been working better and better each year. In the last 4 years of vacancies happening at the SDOEM slot, which is State Director of Missions slot, we have been finding leaders in consultation partnership with Executive Director, ED, that are the highest caliber. Our mutual friend, Hal Haller, is a great example of that. I really believe that we have been raising the caliber of leaders significantly over the past years.
Okay, and then read the final paragraph.
So before jobs are offered to
Sorry,
specific...
the next page.
Oh, sorry. Let's begin to brainstorm through our networks for possible leaders, Michael being one of them. Heard many great things about him.
So what had led up to this email?
David Jackson, we had lost our state exec director of missions, and he was going back to New England. We were already in conversations with Michael Crawford, who was a Baltimore pastor and already working in church planting, and we were already in conversations with him about coming on as a contract worker with us, African-American leader, respected in Baltimore, makes all the sense in the world, was already becoming beloved by some of our people. And so when David left, we discussed this with Michael about his possible interest. We took an initial step. Later, months later, to keep from trying to violate this, we even made Michael, we brought him on, we did it as an interim basis, but that was even though they had already agreed to this process. And so that's the situation with him. They had later hired him both in this position. Later, when he becomes executive director replacing me, a couple of people later, they then dually hired him to have dual loyalties to NAM and the executive director, which has never been done in the history of the SBC.
So with respect to this hiring, this is another shared missionary, correct?
Yes.
And remember what the SPA says, that the process is searches for jointly funded missionaries shall be initiated by the convention.
Yes.
Did you initiate the search?
I initiated it.
Had you identified a candidate?
Yes.
The search would be initiated by the convention in consultation with NAM. Did you consult with NAM after you initiated?
Yes. I believe there's at least 5 other documents that came out in the depositions that were exhibits that show the communication.
But this document shows you consulting, correct?
This one does it too, and there's other ones.
Okay. And then final approval of the candidate will be from NAM was the requirement, correct?
Yes.
And did you allow NAM to have final approval of this candidate?
They can have final approval. They actually began a questionnaire with him regarding his marriage. That must have been one of their steps in their processes. And so they asked him to fill out a questionnaire, to put him in their processes. Later and subsequent, after all this has gone past and you go back and look at the documents, they had put that on hold and not moved it forward in spite of my asking, like, what's the status? What's the status? Okay, we'll just make him interim. I mean, we were trying to do everything we could. They did say, look, go ahead, in one of the documents, go ahead and hire him. You've already talked to him, so go ahead. Well, I was supposed to talk to him. That's the only way he can get initiated is to have a conversation.
But they approved.
Certainly
They had
did.
the final approval, and they did.
Yes.
Okay. Turn with
Well, I don't know
me.
about their formal process, but the communication to me from the person I was responsible to, I'm not responsible for their processes.
Turn with me to Exhibit 48. The date on 12 was November 14, 2014, correct?
I'm not there yet, and I've got My tab stopped at 47, but I assume the documents are there. Sorry about that. So tell me again what we're
This would be minutes of the Executive Committee, February 3, 2015.
It's got a NAM number at the bottom.
5350.
53, yes, okay, I've got it.
And so what is this document?
This is minutes from the Executive Committee, again, of the NAM trustees on
Okay.
February 3rd.
So this is several months later then after the hiring that we talked about
Yes.
of Mr. Crawford. 5351 is the President's report again. Again, this is Dr. Ezell sharing with his board.
Right.
Read that first paragraph. That paragraph
Maryland, Delaware, disciplinary process in hopes of restoration. The cooperative agreement suggests a one-year notice for termination, and NAM provided this notification at the beginning of December. The issue primarily at hand is the cooperative process for missionary approvals not being followed with repetitive infraction. This is what brought up us as awareness, as an awareness issue for the trustees, as some are being contacted about this and some others may be in the future.
But as to each of the hires we're talking about, the two hires, you had initiated the search as the convention, correct?
Yes,
You had allowed NAM, you consulted with NAM about your selection,
yes,
and you allowed NAM to have final approval.
yes,
Had you then violated the agreement in your mind?
no.
Let's look at 48. Oh, sorry, Exhibit 9. Sorry, we flipped back and forth. We added things and then filled in. Nine, NAM 6744.
Okay.
What is this document?
This is a communication, I believe, from Jeff Christopherson to Steve Davis. They were both vice presidents working at NAM. And it appears that Jeff is trying to communicate what issues there are regarding me that he has.
Did you ever see this document while you were in?
I
during the process?
don't remember seeing it. If I did, I would assume it doesn't copy me on there, but I don't remember getting it separately from
And you'll
this.
notice it's dated February 3, 2015.
Right?
And so it says it's documenting issues of partnership pertaining to Will McRaney. And
Yes.
again, if it comes from Mr. Christopherson, his input, the following 2 points related to partnership, although not exhaustive, serve to illustrate the deep divide that has grown in NAM's partnership. Do you see that?
Yes.
And then 1, failure to follow a partnership process in hiring jointly funded missionaries. And look down about midway through that paragraph, there's a sentence that begins, since.
Okay.
Since this was to be a jointly funded position, both parties need to be in agreement before candidates are approached. You see that?
Yes.
Is that true?
It's impossible. One
What did
candidate,
the SPA require?
the state exec to initiate, you got to have a first conversation and then consult.
Okay.
This is a very key date because what has happened on this particular day, our State Board of Missions had a meeting in which they had done 2 things. One, they'd met to discuss the issues with NAM. Of course, Kevin Ezell texted into the message, and that text message got to the front desk.
Let me ask you some questions before we get there.
Okay, sorry.
We'll have you answer questions, not
Sorry.
not testify too long. So look down then on 6744, the last paragraph. There's a sentence in the middle there that says, Dr. McRaney did not agree that he violated the process since all decisions were subject to NAM's approvals, correct?
I don't see that, but that sounds right.
Yeah, so that would have been your position. So you said this letter came at a key moment because your state leaders were meeting on or around February 3, 2015?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. And so do you know if this went to them?
This particular document, I'm not familiar that if it went to them.
Okay, but your board was meeting to investigate claims about,
Yes.
that NAM had made about you.
Well, well, it was doing the partnership. I mean, our executive leadership, our 3 or 4 leaders already signed a letter saying that it didn't happen. The attorney had already spoken in that it didn't happen. We were updating them on what was going to happen because of the cancellation of the agreement. That was the issue.
So look with me then on Exhibit 4. What is Exhibit number 4?
This is the resolution of support of my leadership. It was one of the 2 major outcomes of the meeting.
And so this was by whom?
This was by the board, signed by Mark Dooley, the president. There is a signed version somewhere, but this was a recorded meeting and took it down, and the guys went and constructed this. And they gave a unanimous, surprising to all of us, I mean, they gave a unanimous affirmation, which they just wanted to do. It was not anything planned or anything else.
So after they had heard the complaints and you had responded to them, your board issued a statement of unanimous approval of you.
They issued this support of me, and the second thing that they issued is that we reject NAM's request for 100% takeover of the church planting. It's in the minutes, and it's in the documents. So that's 2 things. We're not going to do things like you would just like us to do them, and you want to change the partnership agreement, not work to do it, but they had voted unanimously to reject NAM's offer, which they are going to later, after I'm terminated, to accept, and they have voted to support me. Both happened.
So your board heard from you. Did they hear from anybody else about the merits of these claims?
They heard, our administrative team had an additional meeting, and they probably heard from the board president and the general mission board, whoever wanted to speak. I'm not.
How about somebody outside? Did they contact somebody else?
We had, well, in terms of the claims, we were trying to figure out what we were going to do. We knew the claims were false. But really the issue is how are we going to try to cover the gap, and if they carry this out. And so we heard from our attorney. We hired an attorney from the outside, someone that we could contract with, and he looked at the evidence. Our CFO sent all the documentations related to the agreement, all the communications that had taken place and everything else, sent it to them, and they reviewed it and got back to us.
And Exhibit number 3, turn to that. What's that document?
Three. This is from Michael Crawford to me.
The next email is from you, correct?
I'm in 866.
Correct.
Okay.
The following are summary statements from Jeff. Who's Jeff?
Oh, down there. Yes. Confuse me up there. Yes, Jeff is Jeff Agnor, the attorney that we consulted on this.
And so you relayed what he had told you to your others, correct?
Yes, I relayed what he communicated, and I copied him on the communication, and I asked him, the next sentence down there below the bullet points, I said, I believe I have accurately reflected my conversation with Jeff, but I'm copying Jeff in case he would like to correct or edit in some way.
Right, and you understood he'd asked serious questions to seek information and clarification, and that neither you or the network breached the cooperative agreement, either technically or the spirit of the agreement.
Yes.
Okay. So that was what BCMD understood and was relying on in making its decisions, correct?
Yes.
Look with me at exhibit number 3. Oh, that was number 3. Did NAM accept BCMD's decision? Once it said there was no claim, it found no fault in the way you'd handled the agreement.
No,
Did NAM accept that?
No.
What does it tell you that after this investigation, NAM didn't accept that opinion? What was NAM really after in this case?
So what they've been after the entire time, which is additional controls over resources, in particular over the staff. Instead of the staff being jointly hired and directed, which has been historic in Baptist life, they wanted to pull those controls into the North American Mission Board. Centralization of power and money, that's what it amounted to.
I think you said there at some point had been a meeting involving just your internal group. Turn with me to exhibit number 15.
Yes.
What's that email?
This is an email from my executive assistant, Donna Jeffries, regarding Kevin Ezel, the text message that he sent to a board member while we were having a meeting about NAM, while they're creating all these other documents, trying to get their ducks in a row to get their story straight. And so I asked the assistant to, because I knew the meeting had been recorded and the actual text message had been read by the president. He slid it over, he's sitting beside me, he said, look what I just got from one of the board members. He said, what do you want me to do this? I said, stand up and read it so everyone can hear it. To which when he read it, everyone in the room, he said, well, this is not a threat. Of course, that's the person that Ezel's using. Everyone else in the room, or there's several people spoke out and said, it is a threat out loud. So I had her transcribe from the audio tape. This message is what she sent to me.
And the message was that if Will or any of our staff or board continue to or start speaking negatively of NAM staff or as a whole, he would pull out of the talks. And he will also make sure at this point that a quick opt-out is in any future agreement between the two of us. That's what it says, correct?
That's what it says.
What would a quick opt-out agreement, quick opt-out imply to you?
We're just going to stop funding.
Had you ever had reason to bring up with NAM concerns about its performance of the spa?
Oh, multiple times.
And so somebody could term those as negative, correct?
Yes, they did.
And under the spa, did you have the independence or the right, the ability to bring up those kinds of performance concerns, even if somebody else thought they were negative?
I had an obligation to the people who hired me. I was there to serve the mission, the people and the churches in our mission field, and I had an obligation to do so. I didn't bring up all of them. I'd spend all my time doing it.
And Kevin Ezel was texting officers of your board while they were meeting together to let them know that if anything negative was said, he would pull out of talks at all about a future relationship and make sure that there's a quick opt-out in any future agreement. Is that right?
That's right. There's 8 people's jobs that were tied to this, 8 families. And 7 of them were filled at the time out of the 8 positions. And so what was happening is you're threatening people who had given their lives to ministry. And that was just no go with me.
So that's March 1, 2015. Turn with me to exhibit number 44.
Okay?
So in between, obviously your board had passed the resolution in support. There have been additional meetings in March, and we know what happens eventually in June. What happened in that in-between process, to your knowledge, on your end?
Well, I have knowledge now that I didn't have then. I thought we were trying to work towards some type of agreement because all I was trying to do is find a solution around what they were doing, which we could have, but it was just broken historic Baptist partnership, which was utterly ridiculous, and it's in my multiple communications to Kevin Ezel.
So you were engaged in negotiations trying to form some new agreement.
That's right.
And did you think NAM was trying to engage in negotiations with you about some future
I
agreement?
thought Steve Davis may be doing it, but
Okay.
I knew their intent.
At some point, did your board give you a list of items to accomplish in the future, to work on?
Not on June 1st, but on June the 2nd, I think on June 1st, they had the administrative team had a meeting outside the bylaws of the Baptist Convention of Maryland, Delaware, because I was supposed to be informed and actually help set the meeting, so that the meeting was actually illegal or outside of governing documents. But this is the email prior to that. They had a meeting, and I believe that meeting was on June the 1st, and had a meeting with me on June the 2nd. I thought we were getting together to talk about the budget. That's what we were doing. So they gave me a list. They gave me a list of 6 things that were basically all innuendos, and if everything they said was true, it wouldn't take a 10-minute meeting, but it wasn't true.
But was one of those items that you needed to work with Dr. Ezel? or
Number
NAM?
1.
Okay.
And go apologize to him.
So look at NAM 7175 in that exhibit. We'll start from the back. There's an email from you on 5/27. You're talking to Steve Davis, correct?
Yes, that's what it looks like there.
And then Davis replies on 7175. He says, on another note, still working with Kevin on some options. Options for what?
My replacement is really what they were doing, but supposedly they were doing on some options on funding, but all they were doing was stringing me along.
Also working on the cooperation agreement and updating. correct?
Well, yes.
Is that what it says?
It says updating, but it's
Okay.
because,
Nope.
okay, sorry.
We'll probably need to get with you after the convention in Columbus.
Yes,
Then I have a week of vacation, so it looks like the first week of July I could get back with you with a plan for moving forward. Should have everything ready by then. You see that?
yes.
Is that what they said?
That's what he wrote.
At the time they wrote it, did you believe he was being honest with you?
I already had questions because this has been done in April and May, and this doesn't make sense.
The next document, or the next response then, is the page before, 7174. 531, Steve, you write, thanks for the update. I was hoping we'd have something by June 1. You see that?
Yes,
And so then Dr. or Mr. Davis, I'm not sure which one, Steve Davis writes back the two paragraphs over 7173 and 7174. He says, sorry, I didn't respond yesterday, had to go to Indiana to be with my 91-year-old aunt. And we skip down to the next paragraph. Still planning on being in the convention in Columbus. Maybe you, the three pastors we met with, and I could get together at the convention. I could meet with you guys at 3:30 or 4 on that Tuesday afternoon. We'll check and see if the NAM hospitality room is an option or somewhere else. He says, as I recall, the pastors indicated in the meeting with Dr. Ezell, they wanted us to meet with them as well. Do you see that?
actually I don't, but I remember all of it. I've read it.
We are at Exhibit 44, correct?
Yeah, what NAM number there? I'm sorry.
7173.
Okay, I'm there.
And then we roll over to 74, correct?
All right. Yes, okay, I'm following now. I
So
see
still planning begins on 7173,
that. Yes,
and then on 7174, I can meet with you guys at 3 or 3:30.
yes,
And then we skip down, and it says, as I recall, the pastors indicated in the meeting with Dr. Ezell, they wanted us to meet with them as well. Do you want to check with them, correct?
yes,
So he's asking you to work on putting together meetings to be held to negotiate the future position.
yes.
That's the old number. Yeah. Yeah. All of these books should be correct. Correct, yes. So they're asking you to spend time developing plans and working on the future, correct?
Yes.
Look at just above that then, from Steve Davis on June 1 in this email chain. Above that, above the June 1 email, there's an email now from Kevin Ezell that says, don't meet with him by yourself. Do you see that? This is 7173.
Let's see. You can throw me, look at it first again. Let's see. I see it. There we go, middle
Okay.
page.
So Davis is sending you the email that says, hey, work on some meeting times, and apparently Dr. Ezell responds to Davis, don't meet with him by yourself. You see that?
Yes,
And then Davis responds to that. Now we're one level up. So this is the email chain going backwards.
right.
And Steve Davis says, I won't. I'm trying to hold off as asked by Bill Warren, but also not wanting to tip Will off that something else is causing the delay. Thought it might be best to meet with him and his pastors at the convention if their process for removal hasn't been implemented. Then if he's removed, we can change the funding back to our original proposal.
Yes,
Did you know that at the time?
absolutely not.
Turn back one more page, 7172. So again, this is later in the conversation, June 1 from Steve Davis. You see where it says Doc?
Yes,
Doc, the original 100% plan was based on people we're not funded anymore, so let me rework that and send it to you as an option if Will is gone. You see that?
yes,
So NAM at that point was asking you to have meetings, correct? To work on meetings
yes,
they didn't intend to have, correct?
yes,
And they were fine with giving the convention money, correct?
yes.
They had a plan. There were options available.
That's right.
What was the one condition of them giving the money back?
My termination.
Look up above. Now we have an email from Kevin Ezell, June 1. This is the first set of indents. Looking better, leave the CP dollars at 600,000. We want to be cautious until we know who the new guy will be. Did you know there was going to be a new guy on June 1, 2015?
No, they hadn't said a word to me. No concern about my work. I'd received a raise, and not at the highest levels, only the highest levels. It was recommended by the CFO that they go beyond standards to give a raise because of the quality of the work.
One exhibit back, 43. Before the termination on June 8, you sent an email to Kevin Ezell, didn't you?
Yes,
And is that this document?
that's it.
What was the purpose of this document?
To fulfill this is to try to set up a meeting with him and to apologize to possibly the only thing that I could think of that I could apologize for, because I wasn't going to apologize for something I hadn't done.
And the subject line there is reconciliation request. What's that mean?
Well, we're trying to see if we can get this worked out, whatever it is. Let's get it. I thought we just had misinformation. That he's in Alpharetta, his guys make agreements with us, then it goes to Alpharetta. By the time they come back, it's different. I mean, something is going on somewhere, and I can't figure it out. All you need to do is have a conversation with me, man to man, brother to brother, and this certainly could be resolved. There's nothing here, but I didn't know all the stuff that was going on with their intentions.
And you say in the letter, we are certainly willing to fly into Atlanta for a brief meeting. Our preference would be before the SBC if you grant us at least 15 minutes.
Yes.
And you thought you could clear it up with that kind of meeting.
Well, get it started.
But you did seek reconciliation with Dr. Ezell and NAM.
At every point I had any type of concern with them, I sent a similar type of communication about the nature of the historic relationship, the importance of it going forward for the people the mission field that we were serving, but doing so from the perspective of we were responsible for our mission field. They were not responsible for it in Alpharetta. And so every time there was a concern, I would say, we want to work in partnership. But
Okay,
not
Dr.
with
McRaney, we've
control.
established then that you were then terminated on June 8, 2015. You've alleged in your lawsuit that it was because NAM wanted you to be, or was trying to get you fired, and that they had asked for that. Did others share that opinion? Do you know that based on just your own facts, or have others said that?
There was others about the fact of my termination that was tied to the funding was tied to my termination. Is that the question?
Correct.
Well, yes. Steve Wilverton, a pastor there, and actually works with the government NSA primarily as his primary job, but he was in multiple conversations with Bill Warren and others, and so he communicated that to me. Same thing with Clint Scott, independent of each other. Multiple conversations with Bill Warren. Reason was this, and of course, there's 8 people's jobs that are in jeopardy, so everybody's a little uptight.
Yeah, so we'll hear from maybe some of these folks, but just in case we don't, I know the schedule's a little off, so I'm going to go ahead and have you identify their documents at least.
Okay.
Look with me, exhibit number 10. What's that document?
That is the declaration of Steve Wilverton.
And that's a statement under oath he gave in your lawsuit, correct?
Yes.
We'll hear from him later, but in case we don't, we'll come back and read it later, but we should hear from him. And then 11, what's that? Exhibit 11.
Declaration from Clint Scott.
Okay. And what does that say?
Basically the same thing that there was coordination between Bill Warren and Kevin Ezell in their relationship, in which money was tied to my termination, and Bill helped carry it out.
And he found that out after the meeting, correct?
Yeah, he found it out, yes, because he was not a board member, but he had conversations with Bill and others, and subsequently in September, I had one and sat in the room and heard it too.
Okay. And then we'll look at the document we showed up on the screen earlier, at exhibit number 6. The Davis email to Ezell on June 9, 2015, NAM 7230.
Yes.
And the last email there, starting with Doc, could you read that paragraph?
I've refigured the 100% plan for Maryland, Delaware based on the resignation of Will McRaney, and moving forward, the attached represents the essence of our discussions for your review. I will need Nancy and Matt to check my numbers before calling Tom Stoll tomorrow afternoon based on the original 2015-17 budget numbers, which Will rejected because he had said they couldn't match the funds. The new plan would be a savings for NAM of $61,990 based on the current funding vacancies. It's a $103,505 increase.
So the day after you're fired, Mr. Davis had a plan to return to 100% funding based on the resignation of Will McRaney, true?
He did, and what he says in here is false too, but.
And then based on, he's projecting that in fact, Maryland, Delaware will receive an additional $103,505 increase, correct?
I don't know if it's from here or other documents. I don't know if he's referring to NAM saving this amount of money or if he's referring to them getting more money, but I know from other documents that they got more money.
Yeah, he says they'll save $61,992, correct? NAM will save.
Yeah.
That first prior sentence.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been terminated then, and you understand it's because of the allegations from NAM. And so what did you do after that termination? What did you do to try to clear your name with the board? What evidence did you try to get?
I'm a prolific letter writer. And so
Well-
I probably communicated a note telling how many letters to how many different people and
Look-
just tried to clear it up.
Look at Exhibit 47.
Yes. I think I have it. It's the July 14th letter.
Correct. What is that document?
That document is that says at the time of resignation that there had not even been an allegation related to any illegal, immoral, and unethical behaviors or acts.
This one does not have a Bates number on it. I just want to make sure this document was in your possession, correct?
Yes.
Was it in the lawsuit?
I can't imagine that I did not submit it myself.
Okay.
It may just be that it's this version, but this one is in there. Should be.
Okay, I just want to make sure NAM has seen all of these documents
Yeah.
before we are talking about them. And this letter from the board president says that the board affirms it was not aware either on your resignation or today, and you say termination, but what he calls resignation, or today, of any allegation against you related to any illegal, immoral, or unethical behaviors or acts.
That's what it says.
But had NAM accused you of making immoral, illegal, or unethical acts?
Repeatedly.
Yeah. So, even after you're terminated, the convention tells you you've done nothing wrong.
In the letter and in verbally to my face.
Yeah. And so that led you to then to sign, at least, or maybe it was before that, look at exhibit number 30.
30?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What's that document?
This is a separation agreement that I had with the Baptist Convention of Maryland, Delaware.
Okay. And this reflects what's going to happen after you leave, correct?
Yes, I was already gone by the time this was executed, but yes.
Okay. I'm going to have you look at the number will be 632 down in the corner, general release.
Okay.
Did you have somebody look at this before you signed it?
I certainly did.
Was it an attorney?
Was attorney?
One of the claims we'll hear later when we present the summary of NAM's evidence is that when you signed this document, it released claims against them. Did you ask your attorney that question?
I did specifically.
And what did he say?
He said no, and later it's been the court filings. He signed an affidavit saying the same thing, even though his brother was the chairman of the NAM trustees.
But you asked if it would release the claims against NAM, and he told you no.
That's correct.
Okay, very good. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we have a witness I think is available at 2 o'clock that we need to get in. We've reached the termination point. We want to take a 5-minute break. If that's agreeable to all, we'll get them up. We'll do that testimony, and then we'll jump back in if that's fine. Just 5 minutes. Yeah, let's take a short break now, and then we'll get somebody on at 2, and we'll go with him, and then we'll take maybe a longer break. Ready? Dr. McRaney, thank you. You're back on the stand. You still understand you're still under oath.
Yes.
Okay. Let's look real quick back at exhibit number 12. Exhibit 6, or pardon, NAM 6484.
Yes.
I just wanted to highlight that last paragraph there that says, second, I am pleased to inform you and our admin committee chairman that Michael Crawford has agreed to assume the SDOM pending approvals, correct?
Yes.
And you've begun the process on your end and will be seeking the administrative committee's affirmation of my decision regarding Michael in keeping with our policy, correct?
Yes.
And we appreciate NAM's partnership with this position and want to begin the NAM process in good order, correct?
Yes.
And then it says, I would appreciate, the next page, the last sentence, I would appreciate you advising me on the next steps as this is my first experience with this position, correct?
Yes.
So you were asking NAM to have input into what happened next.
Correct.
And this was with Dr. Crawford, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We have talked then earlier about what happened that led up to your termination. We have heard from Mr. Thomas about his testimony. We have heard from Mr. Barker about what happened to him. Let's talk briefly about some other folks and some jobs or speaking opportunities that you pursued. If you'll turn with me to exhibit number 22. That states it's the declaration of Joel Breidenbaugh, correct?
Yes.
And I think we may hear from Mr. Breidenbaugh later, but this is the declaration he filed in your lawsuit, correct?
Yes, it is.
And just briefly, what opportunity were you pursuing that's described in Exhibit 22?
Joel had asked me to speak at the Florida Baptist Convention,
Okay?
or the Pastors Conference of the Florida Baptist Convention.
And then flip with me to Exhibit number 20. That's the deposition testimony of Rob Paul.
Yes.
What opportunity were you pursuing that Mr. Paul knew about?
A missions conference there at his church where multiple churches would come together, and I'd been asked to speak, and he had tried for several years to get me to come and speak.
And what happened? Did you speak?
I did not speak. I was at the last uninvited. Come to find out later is because the trustee of North American Mission Board had communications with Rob, and that was a close friend of his in terms of their ministerial relationship, and so I assumed that had something to do with it because he was, based on things I've read since then.
Yeah. Mr. Paul says the NAM trustee agreed with his decision that it would be wise to uninvite you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Then let's look at exhibit number 25, other opportunities. This is the affidavit of Jimmy Crosby. Do you see that?
Yes.
Who was Mr. Crosby?
He was at the time the president of the Jacksonville Baptist Theological Seminary.
And had you pursued opportunities at Jacksonville Baptist Theological Seminary?
I got to know him, and he was having communication, was trying to find ways to include me with my background.
Okay. And did he ultimately invite you to participate at Jacksonville?
No.
And why was that?
Well, per this affidavit, his communication, it was just something that he couldn't afford to do because of the relationships with the Baptist churches and their relationship to the North American Mission Board and the influence they.
And it was your testimony that you were unable to find full-time Baptist ministry employment for 5 years after your termination.
Yes. I had been thought enough of to be recommended, I believe, to 5 state convention executive director's job, which is fairly amazing since I was terminated from one, and a president of one of our 6 seminaries.
And yet after your termination by NAM, you got none of those positions.
No.
Okay. Let's then about NAM's communication about you, inside and outside NAM. Turn with me to exhibit number 7.
Okay.
In the middle of that page, there's an email from Kevin Ezel to Dr. Al Broadbent. Do you see that?
Yes.
You know who Dr. Broadbent was?
I just know him by some communication online. Other than that, I don't have a personal relationship
Do you
with
know if he was a trustee or outside of NAM?
him. He was outside of NAM.
Okay. Dr. Ezel, according to the email, writes, "Thank you so much, bro Al. All of his assertions are untrue, simply never happened." Who's his here?
He's talking about me.
And that all of your assertions are untrue,
Yes,
and that what you said simply never happened.
correct.
Were you lying?
No,
Had you made assertions that were untrue in your mind?
not that I knew of.
Would you assert something that simply never happened?
No.
Turn with me to the next page, exhibit number 8. Another email from Dr. Ezel to Roland Slade. Pastor, do you know who's Dr. Slade?
At the time, he was the chairman of the executive committee of the Southern Baptist Convention, which is not a staff position, but it's an elected position. And if he wasn't then, he was before or after. I believe that was the same time that he was actually the chairman.
So an important Southern Baptist leader
Yes,
at an entity not NAM, but another entity.
right.
It says, "Thank you so much for email, Roland. This has been exhausting to deal with. The entire attachment is complete lies. I've never offered money to any state convention for any input." You see that?
I do.
Dr. Ezel says it's a lie that he's ever offered any money to any state convention for input.
Absolutely false. It's according to his own testimony, the testimony of others, testimony of Bill Barker. It was happening everywhere, lots of places.
But he told Dr. Slade that you had been telling lies in what you were talking about.
Yes.
Exhibit 23. Jump with me back, I think 8702 is the start of the thread from Dale Jenkins to Keith Evans.
Yes, I see the Dell Jenkins, yes.
And about halfway through the paragraph, it says, "I'm very concerned that the autonomy of the SBC organizations and all the way to the churches is at risk."
Yes, I read that.
All right. And so that was the basis of the email to Keith Evans. Do you know who Keith was?
I do not, I thought he was a trustee, but I'm not certain of that. I assume that's probably why Dale, who was an executive committee member, was writing Keith, but don't know Keith's specific position at the time.
Then flip back to 8701. There's an email from Mike Ebert to Pastor Dale, carbon copying Keith Evans. Did you see that?
Yes,
And Keith Evans passed along your email regarding some of the misinformation being spread related to the lawsuit that was filed against our ministry. Do you see that?
yes,
"We have made several attempts to reach a resolution." This is a paragraph down. "We have made several attempts to reach a resolution outside of the court system, comma, and we regret that a brother in Christ has chosen to sue us. We would have preferred to settle the matter outside a secular court, but when any organization is sued based on false and misleading allegations, it must defend itself." Whose allegations was he accused of being false and misleading?
mine.
Was it true that you had presented false and misleading allegations to your mind?
No,
When he says, "We have made several attempts to reach a resolution outside of the court system," what would those be?
I don't know what's in their mind. I had, the evidence is pretty clear in terms of the emails and the communication, both from my attorney and personal ones. And they wanted to try to, offered one time to meet, and I said, yes, I'm gonna have equal number of people and we'll get together. That's the only time I'm aware they even made any type of overture, and I said, we'll record the meeting. Because they had already been denying everything and already had been lying, and they already had attorneys contacting me.
But during that meeting, in your mind, did they have any serious discussions about resolving this?
No,
Okay.
no.
Then let's look at Exhibit 45, which we talked about earlier on the screen.
Which document, I'm sorry?
45. This is July 2020. It is July 2020. Lots of 20s. 9181. You'll see there, this is an email from Kevin Ezel to several folks. Do you know any of those folks?
I know Carlos that was copied on it. He was the CFO.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't know the other gentlemen. I know their role, but I don't know them.
Okay. Look at number 2. Could you read that to the jury?
We don't listen to McRaney's videos, or don't listen to McRaney's videos. 10% fact, 90% bull.
You'd issued some videos on this matter, correct?
I think according to Kevin, some 200 hours of them.
Yeah. And concerning bull, what do you interpret that to be when he says bull?
Well, he's just telling us, to be nice about it, he's probably just saying that I'm lying about it. It's false.
Okay. Had you lied in your videos to your knowledge?
No.
Has anyone ever brought to your attention something, a lie?
No. It's possible I can misspeak at times, in which we'd all do, but it's nothing on a factual matter has hardly ever even been challenged.
Okay. Let's look at whether, did Dr. Ezel have a basis for concluding that your videos were 90% bull?
No.
Let's look at it. 46, sorry.
Okay.
This is Dr. Ezel's testimony in his deposition under oath. And he says he doesn't understand bull to be short for a swear word.
Yes.
Oh, here we go. Sorry. The prior page, they're quadrant pages. And so on page 165 of his testimony, it says, in response to Dr. McRaney's email sent out, you told Tommy Green that the email is pure lies, correct? Are you aware that Dr. McRaney has posted some videos online? Dr. Ezel answers, I'm aware there's a couple hundred. Question, and you say you're aware of a couple hundred. Have you reviewed them all? Dr. Ezel answers, I've not watched any. No, not 1 second. Not 1 second.
That's correct.
And are you aware of other times Dr. Ezel called you a nutcase?
That seems like one of the words. I'm not going to use the word delusional.
Delusional is another word.
Yes.
And that's from your review of his deposition testimony. Yes. And so then look at Exhibit 36 or 37. I think they're the same exhibit, actually. One's an excerpt of the other. This is dated May 15, 2021, correct?
Yes.
What is this document?
I don't really know. It seems like it's an article in the Oklahoma Baptist Bulletin. I'm not familiar with that.
You know James B. Sadecki there, the author?
I don't know him on a personal level. I've seen some of his work occasionally, but I don't know, no interaction with him.
But this came in during the lawsuit, correct? Came to you during the lawsuit and was produced to the other side, correct?
Someone must have sent it to me. I would assume that's often how things would come to me.
But you see down in the corner it has WM.
Yes.
And so those are documents you produced, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so then turn to what is WM 6165.
Okay.
6165. The bottom of that page is question 3. And Pastor B. Sadecki had contacted Mike Ebert at NAM to ask questions concerning the McRaney lawsuit. Quote, while we are limited in our public comments due to Will McRaney's ongoing lawsuit against our ministry, we have shared some information publicly over recent years. It is important to note that Dr. McRaney filed the lawsuit after having demanded NAM pay him more than $7.7 million. Before Dr. McRaney filed the lawsuit against NAM tried on several occasions to meet with him to seek a biblical resolution outside secular courts. This story, apparently there's a link, outlines our efforts to meet with him, and this story notes that members of our board have met with him twice to seek resolution. Do you know what those meetings would be?
No, let's see if we can get the date on this. Again, this is 2022. There was one informal meeting that was supposed to be a settlement meeting. I had posted the evidence. It's been clear from the beginning. I posted online when NAM, from the beginning, had my letter of concern. They denied it. They had attorneys write me. They had more attorneys write me. They continued to interfere. So when they finally decided we finally have a lawsuit going, then they offered to come have a settlement conversation. And so there were Sandy and I, two representatives with me, and the chairman and the vice chairman of NAM trustees came, and they said, we want to have a settlement conversation. I came in with a settlement notebook, facts and figures, that kind of stuff. They sat down and said, we have no power to make a settlement. We want to just hear what you have to say. Well, I didn't come to talk. I came to settle. I had been talking. I had stuff online. There was not anything to talk about. I mean, if they had said we want to have a talk, I would have had a talk, but I didn't prepare for that. I prepared for a settlement.
But from your understanding, they weren't there to look at the facts. They were there to accept your settlement, I suppose.
I don't know what they were there for, and it didn't happen twice. It happened once.
Okay.
And at no meeting has Kevin Ezel been at any legal or that informal time. He has never shown up, even at the required. Maybe the second thing they're referring to is a required mediation that could have been what they were talking about, but the court required mediation that we had on the coast of Mississippi. That could have been the second one they were referring to.
Look back at 6166.
Okay.
It says, your blog post, this is from Ebert to B. Sadecki. Your blog post also asks, if this behavior is true, how has it been addressed by either NAM leadership or the trustees of NAM? Ebert responds, it is not true, and NAM has consistently denied all the allegations leveled against it by Will McRaney.
Yes.
You see that there?
Yes.
And so NAM's position is everything you have said is not true, correct?
Yes.
Every allegation you have made, not one has been true.
That's correct.
So we have examples several times of NAM calling you a liar or indicating that you are dishonest, running 5 years. 2021 is our latest example there. That was the last time we could get discovery. Let's talk about, I think I missed a few things you did right after your termination. Yeah, exhibit number 35. Oh, that email's from Steve Davis to Joe Outlaw. This is Tuesday, June 30, 2015. You see that?
Yes.
The second or third sentence says, Will McRaney resigned. You see that?
Yes.
Is that your understanding of what happened?
No, I was terminated.
Then February 2016, what did you do after you'd been terminated?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Exhibit 41.
Yes, so in February 2016, I put down my concerns in writing, actually with the help of an attorney to review the facts that he reviewed 3 weeks before this letter actually went out. But he wanted to take time to look at the facts. So I sent a letter to the North American Mission Board trustees that I entitled as a letter of concern, and I expressed my concerns to them.
And why'd you do that? This is some 6 months after you've been terminated. Why'd you do that in February 2016?
Well, there's a lot at stake when you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of assets. You're talking about mission fields. You're talking about strategies, all of which have been in my background, not just with Maryland and Delaware. I'm just concerned about the whole organization. You got people that are giving money out of fixed income and trusted in the people that are running over the top of the people, and you cannot do this before Jesus and ask God's blessing. And so it's just sickening to me, actually. And so I think I knew what happened to me was happening to other people. They just didn't have the evidence to prove it, and I did.
And how did they respond to that letter? Did they investigate your claims?
Of course not. Well, if they did, it was internal to themselves. I think they later said we investigated all these things. I'm not sure when all that took place, but it also shows that they didn't talk to me in the middle of their investigation. They talked to Kevin Ezell, they talked to Bill Warren, they didn't talk to the person that's making the accusations.
Turn to the next page. The next exhibit, 42 then. What's this letter?
This is their response.
And how long did it take for them to generate this response?
I thought, my letter says, I think February 2nd, but my recollection is it only took 20 hours for me to get it back. I thought this was probably an attachment. I'm not certain of that because there's an extra day in there in between, but it was within no time. Obviously, no investigation had been done.
And so rather than respond to your facts, it says, paragraph 2, rather than engage in a line-by-line rebuttal of Dr. McRaney's portrayals of how Kevin and other NAM leadership navigated through this challenging situation, it is sufficient to say that his letter is both factually inaccurate and misleading. Instead, on behalf of NAM's trustees, we want to voice our complete confidence in Kevin's leadership, integrity, and the biblical way in which he handled the challenges that arose as a result of several of Dr. McRaney's decisions. Apparently in contrast to you. But they didn't deem your accusations in this letter worthy of responding to specifically, correct?
No.
They said, suffice it to say that it's factually inaccurate and misleading. Had you put time into drafting the letter to make it factually accurate?
I put time and money and research.
Did you ask others to review it for it to
Certainly,
be accurate?
I did.
Are you aware today of anything that is inaccurate in that letter?
No.
Okay. You have 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Okay, 5. Let me finish up with Dr. Ezell, or with Dr. McRaney. Dr. McRaney, we've also then looked at, after the discussions calling you dishonest and various characterizations, we've talked about this photo, exhibit number 28.
Yes.
Oh, that's the declaration of Rick Wheeler. And then 13, exhibit 13 is actually the photo. It says, Will McRaney, picture to lobby desk, no entry in building at 5237. You see that?
Yes.
What does this mean to you?
This means that from my letter that, well, it means I'm not to get in the building and that I'm of some type of danger or risk. And this is consistent with everything that's happening from February 3rd when they got my letter. They're rallying their NAM trustees, and other evidence to go to war with me. They're writing letters of denial. They're writing formal letters. They're communicating to people. They're rallying things in Maryland. I mean, they're doing all kinds of stuff because they're from my perspective, they're just afraid of the facts, which they've been for 10 years, which caused them to do all the hiring of all the attorneys and all the efforts they've made and the fabrications they've made to the courts. It's quite an effort, actually.
Okay. Real quick, let me look at exhibit 40 with you. This is a document available on NAM's website. Have you ever seen this before?
Yes.
What-
If not this one, if I haven't seen this one, I've seen their financial statements.
But what is it?
This financial statement, I think this is probably their audit from BATS.
They release their audits every year, correct?
Yes,
And it describes both their income and the assets they have, correct?
yes,
Hundreds of millions of dollars, to be fair, correct?
yes.
Then let's look at 33. What's that document?
That's the expert report that Dr. Sharp in his report to the court.
And he's a PhD economist, correct?
PhD economist, nonprofit expert, several things.
And you gave him your tax records and income records, correct?
Yes,
And he made a conclusion about the damages accruing to you, correct?
He did.
And do you recall what that was?
At that time, the actual value then was between 1.4 and 1.8 million actual damages on wages, not emotional damage, stress, not punitive damages, not other kinds of damages, and not with interest.
So
He could calculate that was just real time then.
In terms of the money out of your pocket, he calculated it would be between 1.4 and 1.8.
Yes.
Okay. Let me confer with Mr. Barker one bit, or Barton. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a juror that has an issue that's arisen, and so rather than use the juror up after they've heard testimony, we're going to take a break today. We're going to start in the morning at 8:30 a.m. Everyone will be here, bright and bushy, ready to go. We just have a little bit more Dr. McRaney and then some final evidence in closing. So we should still be on schedule, but we will see you at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow. Dr. McRaney, we're back on day 2, and you understand you're still under oath. Wanted to finish up your testimony before we took a break yesterday. And we had talked about the economic report, and we had talked about, I think we'd introduced NAM's financial records, but we didn't talk about the other harms and losses you've suffered. And so I want to talk about a little bit the personal experiences you had following the determination. You led a staff of 60 people at BCMD after June 8, 2015. What was life like?
It's pretty isolated other than having Sandy doing this and I doing this together. It was loss of sense of team and connectedness, and I played a lot of team sports and been on faculty at New Orleans Seminary, worked for the Florida Baptist Convention, and so it's pretty isolating in some ways. And you know, this whole thing just affected all manner of relationships because people didn't know how to respond. Good news is there was no accusations against us of any wrongdoing, so that helped some. But particularly, I mean, not immediately, but later as we started exposing things related to the North American Mission Board and what they did, that's pretty isolating as well because, you know, people have questions at first, but at least, you know, we have a relationship with them. But over time, when you start speaking, people start shutting down. So it gets to be very isolating. And then in terms of what's life, I mean, it was probably 18 months before Sandy and I actually slept through the night, not because we were worried about eating or those types of things, but just the level of betrayal and the level of dishonesty that was clear. And it's just amazing because you would think that people in these positions, character would support it. It was just evident that it just wasn't the case.
What else was going on in your life during these years? You have some kids. What was happening in their lives?
High schoolers and college students and weddings during these, you know, say first 5 years post my termination. And so we went through at least 2 weddings and college students and got one out and got another one out. And so just stressing just in terms of the challenges of what's it like, what's Dad doing? And we thought this thing would soon be over. Soon, certainly, somebody's going to, with sense, is going to step in and just bring this thing to an end. And from contacting numerous SBC presidents, executive committee members, and the name trustees even, on and on and on and on. I think one highly respected journalist in the country said, Will, he said, you have gone ad nauseum trying to bring reconciliation, and I couldn't get an inroad. I couldn't get anyone to really take up the issues.
How did your professional sense change of you as a pastor or even just as a man? How was that affected during this?
Well, you know, you've got situations where you're trying to provide for your family, you're trying to provide for the girls, Sandy, and you're trying to take care of your needs. And then on the professional level, again, I had never saw any position that I had. So it wasn't about, you know, the ladder was pulled out from under me. I was just trying to use my gifts. I had all this experience, prime of my time and energy and experience, you know, in terms of combination. And just to not have the relationships, or at least they'd be strained, or people not know what to do with you, actually, was very stressful. And you kind of lost a sense of team. It's kind of like going from a team sport to an individual sport, and I couldn't even do the individual sport. I couldn't get opportunities. There's very many opportunities to do it.
We've spent a day, and now some, taking your testimony, asking the jury to assess your claims. Is that consistent with what you've been asking for these past 9 years?
Certainly.
Yeah. Let me, I thought something made this point. Let me hand you what will be Exhibit 50. And it's, can you tell me what that document is?
This is the transcript of the deposition of Kevin Ezell.
And so if you'll turn to page 211 there. Sorry, these aren't in the books. We'll get you a copy of this in time for deliberation. Go to page 211.
Okay.
And there's a question asked there. And this will be by Mr. Gant, I believe, your attorney at the time. I'll try, and it's my understanding from reviewing documents that Dr. McRaney on numerous occasions offered or expressed willingness. Dr. Ezell answers right. Mr. Gant goes on to engage in biblical reconciliation. Okay, is the answer. Question, are you aware of that? Question, or answer, yes, I was aware he offered to meet. I don't remember ever the word reconciliation being a part of it. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Do you remember him giving that answer while you were there?
Yes.
But isn't it true that you sent email early on in this process seeking a reconciliation conversation?
Not only did I do it, I did it multiple times over anything that came up, and are seeking to at least have clarification. But when a man tells you as executive director, and we're supposed to relate one-to-one, that you're on a 6-month probation from conversation with him, that speaks volumes.
And isn't it true that Mr. Davis at that time, in response to your request for reconciliation, put off such a meeting in order that the convention could terminate you?
Oh, they weren't going to move forward. I've read too many documents at this point.
Dr. McRaney, I guess the last question I have is, are you still seeking biblical reconciliation with Kevin Ezell? Is this process part of what you view as a biblical reconciliation?
Certainly. I mean, the scripture is just clear. I mean, there has to be repentance. Needs to be repentance. That's a part of it. Then there needs to be then there can be reconciliation, and then there's just restitution. These are all biblical elements. It has every person, every follower of Christ should want those kind of same things. Those are just biblical big ideas, and just to operate with righteously. People ask me often, well, what do you want out of this? Well, if people get right with Jesus, they get right with each other, they'll figure out what to do to how to make the restitution. But if you're no sense trying to figure out the particulars until there's a heart change to actually see it happen. And that's never been the case, which is the reason we went 10 years to get to this point.
And so in following the process, you've tried to go to Dr. Ezell privately. You've tried to bring witnesses. And now we've told it to your church.
Right.
Is there even today room for Kevin Ezell to repent and seek reconciliation with you.
Certainly there is.
No further questions for you, Dr. McRaney. Thank you.